So good afternoon, everybody. I hope everybody can hear me and see my screen right now. First of all, welcome to the first meeting of the Peer Learning Clubs, number 3. This Peer Learning Club is about work-based learning and standards. My name is Valentina De Vico. I am the communication manager of the Skillman team. And many of you might have seen my name because I've been in touch for all the communication activities with all of you, including the invitation to this specific peer learning club. Today I'll be hosting this webinar together with my colleagues, Mr. Giovanni Crisona, the founder of the Skillman network, and Elena Romanini. They will interact with you later on in this presentation. At the moment you are all on mute mode, because first we will give a brief introduction about the network and the features of the Peer Learning Club, and later we will have some more interactive activities, followed by a more open discussion with all the contributions that we can get from you, where if you want you can also speak and give comments about the whole presentation. So before giving the floor to my colleague, I will give a short introduction on the Skillman network and the main characteristics of the peer learning clubs. I am sure many of you already know the Skillman network and its activities, but for the ones who don't know yet and would like to have some more details, I will give now a short overview. So Skillman is an international network of TVET providers, universities, individuals, research centers, industries and policymakers that focuses on skills research and training in the advanced manufacturing sector. The network aims at introducing and exchanging skills. It provides innovative curricula for the advanced manufacturing sector, and it also facilitates the cross-working activities of international members belonging to the network. The network was created in 2014, but since then we have seen a very big growth of the network itself. Nowadays we actually have 560 members who are actively involved in all our activities, and they come from 84 different countries, also outside of Europe, where it actually originated from. The Skillman network cooperates with a series of international organizations. As I'm sharing with you right now, one of them is the Assembly of the European Regions. Then we have IVETA, the International Vocational Education and Training Association. Then Cumulus, the International Associations of Universities and Colleges of Arts, Media and Design. And EAPRIL, the European Association for Practitioner Research in Improving Learning. Now, the management of all the Skillman's activities, including the activity that we organize today of the peer learning clubs, were facilitated by all these members. And we are very proud to announce our cooperation with the European Training Foundation, which is also one organization that is fully involved in the management of these activities. Now let's get to the introduction of these peer learning clubs. Let me explain to you what they are, what are their basic features, and why you were involved in such a process. The peer learning clubs are 4 permanent focus groups of international experts. That includes you as well, of course. We have put them together to facilitate the discussion and the work of specific topics. So these 4 peer learning clubs will work on different activities. As you see from the screen right now, the first peer learning club is about the advanced manufacturing sector. The second one is about the advocacy and policy influencing. Then number 3, this one is about work-based learning and standards. And finally, number 4 is called Train the Trainers, and it focuses more on the operational dimension. So our idea is that each group will meet regularly and will discuss on these different topics, and eventually at the end of the process each group will create a final policy paper that will be officially published. So the result of the work of the 4 peer learning clubs will be a policy paper that will be actually published. Now, to get things started, yesterday we asked, in our invitation email, we asked all of you to to reflect on what are the best word or words, in your opinion, that represent the concept of the Skillman peer learning clubs. So before giving you our idea of what are the peer learning clubs, we wanted to know, in your idea, in your mind, what you thought could be the key concepts of these groups. I would like to share with you today the results of these polls that we launched yesterday, and see with you the main words that came out from this poll. So as you see, all the experts gave their own opinion on it, and they voted down. And the word that is the biggest in the screen right now is collaboration. And that means that many votes, where many participants gave this option as a key word of the peer learning clubs. So of course collaboration is a key point in these strategic activities with the peer learning clubs. Then you can also see knowledge sharing, participation, and of course they're related to this aspect of those groups of being a pool of sharing knowledge and participating in different activities. Then of course we have other words that stand out, like learning. Of course it's a platform for learning from one another. Knowledge, so of course this word repeats itself again, relating to the fact that these activities actually are for mutual learning and for mutual sharing of knowledge. Then of course collaborative approach. Innovation, it's also another word that's related to reinvent, the other word that I can see on the screen that you gave as the main ideas of these groups. Policy making, exchange, networking. Of course the peer learning clubs will be a valuable opportunity for all of us to broaden our network and to meet with international professionals. Then again, I see mutual learning, interactive participation. That is also a very important key point, because the peer learning clubs and the results we want to achieve with these groups will only be possible if everyone will give their active participation on this kind of joint work. Expertise, of course, we only involve experts from different backgrounds, but still they can give a valuable contribution to the final policy paper that we will publish. Grouping, interaction again. Peer, so we collaborate among peers. We're building something, so I see the word build. Participative approach, skills, pooling, contribution, and common baseline. So these are the main concepts that you can actually see clearly in the screen, and that we wanted to grasp out of your initial ideas about this whole process. So thank you very much for participating to this first step. And now let's move on to the time frame. The peer learning clubs have a time frame, so we have deadlines. And as you see from my screen right now, they were created in November 2019, and they will work together in different cycles until 2022, until October 2022. As many of you might know, Skillman organizes each year organizes international conferences, and the international conference is called CIF, Skillman International Forum. This year, usually it happens around September, October, but this year was postponed due to the global pandemic. So this year it will happen in December. Well, actually, the reason why I'm mentioning the CIF is because our idea is to work together with all of you and the participants of all the peer learning clubs in order to have our policy paper already published by that date. So from now on, we will work together to make it possible to have this policy paper already published by December 2020. So now I will give the floor to Giovanni Crisona, who will get more into the core of the fundamental principles of the peer learning clubs. Thank you, Giovanni.
Thank you, Valentina. Thank you. I'm trying to share my screen now to continue, but it seems that we still have problems with technology today. Oh, maybe it's yes. Okay, it's a little bit slow, but I see that it is arriving to you. Okay, very good. Let me congratulate with you, Valentina, for your outstanding presentation, introduction, and allowing us to understand what are the steps, the phases. Then we will go deep into this reflection with Elena, but I think that you have already given a good idea of what we are and how we are organized and what we are doing. And fantastic, the slide with the remarks, the sentences from all the participants that give us, I think, the real perception, and we can be sure that we are moving in the right direction. I think because the feedback is very much appreciated by my side, because it reflects our own ideas. So I have to talk about the vision and in particular the background that brought us here to understand what are the strategies that we can implement, or better, to allow the participants then to implement their own strategies in comparison and in according to our model. And of course, we are trying to adapt this model to the new events, and so we have to change. There is the COVID and so on. Reflecting on this, I start from the takeaway message of our Professor Rupert McLean, that was in Florence for the Skillman International Forum, and in particular the reflection that we did together about the mega trends that affect the global and the national and local societies, and that have implications for the world of work, and for us also for the world of the education, in particular the TVET sector. The key message of Professor McLean was that the economic and the workplace changes, and we see now for the COVID pandemic how this is important and true. For the reason of the economic and the workplace changes, the role of the human capital is increasingly more and more important. And this means that the skills are the foundation, because the skills are the value of the human capital. And we discussed which skills, of course, and we always refer to the 17 development goals. And in particular, we discussed about green skills and transferable skills and so on. Continuing in this reflection, we understood, we agreed with Professor McLean that we have a need, and this was the takeaway message, the final message was that there's skills that are also the foundation of the skills needed for Industry 4.0 and for the century, next centuries in general, make us to have a need that is to re-engineer the Tibet, for change, including a new holistic approach. An holistic approach. So we need to put into our recipe all the components. And this is the holistic approach that allows us to consider all the players, all the situations, all the views, and to put together not only one sector, but all the components of the civil society, the business, politicians, and so on. So we need to re-engineer the Tibet for a big change, rethinking with a bottom-up process what is required to Tibet to meet the requirements of the workforce and the wider societal concerns. And this need of re-engineering is also a need for making a Tibet for society and not a Tibet just for labor market. This adoption of an holistic approach means exactly this, to widen our view, our perspective, including then an ethical dimension to our view, and to have a Tibet that is not only focused on the labor market needs. And what are the challenges that we have in front? And the reason of these peer learning clubs in our mind was to set up the conditions to make all the stakeholders to discuss, to be relaxed in a friendly environment, to be able to exchange opinions, ideas, and proposals, and best practices, and to create new knowledge. What are the challenges on this? What could be the impact and the characteristic of the curricula in the society of tomorrow? That is our duty to answer to this question. Or how the Tibet organizations could be helped. What could be, for example, the consequence of a Tibet system overlapped just to the demands of the productivity, that just respond to productivity demands, and not equitable, not peaceful, not addressed to a green society. What could be the cost for our future society, and what could be the ultimate consequence for the planet if we don't adopt this holistic approach and we don't consider not only the needs of the industry but also the needs of the society in general, and who finally could pay the price of this behavior if we will be not able to implement this strategy. So, in other words, we need to embed with a solid and consistent arrangement the ethical skills in the advanced manufacturing skills set. So this was the thought behind the peer learning group's creation, and sided with the need to do not leave anyone behind, especially thinking to the last underdeveloped economies, not leaving anyone behind in accessing to the advanced manufacturing skills. So this was more or less, I think, the reasons why we are here in this moment to discuss. So we need to have an ethical impact and to give a real sense to the learning, because the role of TVET in forming the consciences of those who learn is changing. TVET is becoming more and more important in this regard, to give citizenship rights, to switching the role from the education before and the religions also to a new role of TVET, because the time, for example, that the learners passes in TVET environment is more and more bigger, is becoming more and more important. So we have to take in charge these societal challenges. And there is a switch from the human capital theory to the human capabilities approach, because all the qualifications that we are going to design have roles not only in education for us or in TVET, have roles in the labor market and in the society, because all behaviors of these learners in the future will provoke consequences in the society. So how we can coexist, how we can make to coexist these three roles with the demand of high-speed changes and commitment to innovation in our regard, how we could do it. First, I think we have to understand the future of the skill needs. And we have to source consensus. This is the reason of peer learning clubs and this wide approach to stakeholders. We have to move at all levels, from the territorial level to all the levels, and we have to adopt a bottom-up approach. This is a value, what we have in mind, for the future of the society and not only for the future of the business. And we have to create the necessary social conditions to implement an equitable technology foresight exercise, because we have to understand what are the needs of skills for the future. So we need to build a skills foresight exercise as a continuous skills anticipation wave, like to have clear, not just in one occasion what we need for the future, but just a continuous monitoring, to understand in a continuous monitoring approach what are the skills needed for the future, putting all the components together and not only listening the business or the market, the labor market demands. So this skills foresight exercise is not just a business process, as I'm thinking, and it cannot be restricted to, in the opposite, to the TVET sector by itself, so to the education or to the educators. It's instead a societal idea, a societal project that needs a large consensus and interaction at all levels. So behind our peer learning groups, clubs, there is the idea that we need to enlarge this collaboration and to bring to the large public our ideas, our best practices, our approaches, and our capacity in making the best for education and for TVET in particular. We held every year, as you said, Valentina, before, the Skillman International Forum that marked a milestone of this turning wheel, where we put a new brick every time that we pass, composing the new settings of curricula, making our reports and making our policy papers, and then going to influence the policymakers that are, in this regard, our counterpart. So we need to design the society of tomorrow, being aware that the curriculum of today is the society of tomorrow. So we discuss about the curricula because we want to design the future of the societies. And we need to design this model of society of tomorrow, making the learners the part more conscious and responsible for the future as the results of the curricula design and implementation of today. So what we do today in education is the society of tomorrow. And this is our duty, our mandate, and our responsibility in front of the rest of the society. And then when we have clarified our ideas and we have produced our reports, as we will see in the next presentation of Elena, we will produce our reviews. Each peer learning group will have his occasion to publish his own reviews and then to synthesize in a policy paper short document. Then we will move to the policymakers, addressing them with our ideas. And this movement, this action, the acting phase, will be by all the parts that compose the peer learning clubs, because we don't want only address the European Parliament members, for example, and we want not only address the Ministry of Education and Labor, but we want to have all the stakeholders involved. And for this reason, for example, we have the Association of European Regions, that is very important, and we have very other important partners that can act in this regard and can give us the best possible support. So we have then to deploy a rollout strategy, not only interacting at supranational level with supranational organizations. We also have the need to talk with ministries, with regional ministries, with local administrators, all the ones that have the responsibility to design our future with the right policies. We have to provide them with our ideas to understand what are the skills for the needs of skills for the future. Of course, in our dimension that is related to the advanced manufacturing sector. And then we have finally to implement this general strategy that is the engine of the peer learning clubs. All together and from different perspectives to exchange experiences, know-how, capacities, information to produce a new knowledge and such important information for our policymakers. I end here. I thank you very much, Valentina, for this time. I will be connected, so in case we have some interaction, I see that is not so late like in the previous meetings, so we can then interact. Thank you very much for the attention to everybody.
Thank you very much, Giovanni. Here's some music. Giovanni? Okay, thank you very much, Giovanni, for your presentation and your comments. Now I think it's time to move on and to give the floor to Elena Romanini, who will get more into detail about the real actions that will be taken to jointly work together in the next steps, and will also lead our interactive activities and later on. So Elena, you can switch on your microphone. Elena, I cannot hear you, unfortunately. Let me see if I can switch it on for you. Unfortunately, I can't. Giovanni, maybe you can help me switch on Elena's microphone, please. Because from here I cannot do it.
Yes, I'm trying. Just a moment, because I also have difficult connections. I see now some 3 dots changing in Elena's line. I don't know if you did. Okay, but I see the slide of Elena, if I'm right. Okay, here. I see now, I can do it, probably.
Okay, thank you very much, Giovanni. Okay. Thank you very much, Giovanni. Elena?
Okay.
Elena?
Not yet.
Oh.
It's very slow. Probably, Elena, you switched off. Seems very complicated. We were too lucky with the music before. Yeah, Elena, you muted yourself. I see now. You muted yourself, Elena. You have.
Attivato.
Valentina, you have taken the control of the panel. I cannot do anything.
Actually, I cannot. Elena's microphone.
I see that the message says that Elena has deactivated his microphone. But I cannot change because you have taken the control. You have to go on the icon on the window of Elena video and try to activate it. I have now the power to do it. Elena, can you click on the microphone, please? Do you hear us? Okay, can you click on the microphone? That's very strange, eh?
Yes, I tried to give control. Yes, I tried to give control to them.
No. Elena, you can call with the telephone. Can you make a phone call?
Okay, in the meantime that we solve this, Fabio Croce wanted to say something.
Thank you very much, Valentina. Good morning. My name is Fabio. I'm the project manager of Skillman. I use this workspace to give you some update. I hear some background. My voice, probably some microphone still on. But anyway, I take this occasion to our friends connected today that there will be also other events focusing not only on peer learning clubs but on other topics under the Skillman activities. We have already planned several web learning activities on funding opportunities from the European Commission and other funding entities. We already had a meeting with the universities about the capacity building for higher education. We did it a couple of weeks ago. We are going to have a very important webinar in June together with the European Investment Fund. I kindly recommend to all of you to participate. There will be an official presentation by the managers of the European Investment Fund about the Skills and Education Guarantee Pilot, which is a new funding scheme to offer public guarantees for all the VET sectors, both in terms of VET providers, enterprises, and students. So it will be very interesting. The agenda set for this event is for the 11th of June at 10 o'clock in the morning, Central Europe time. There will be other webinars. We have planned in total 18 webinars about funding opportunities, so stay tuned because we will have another couple of webinars focusing each time on different instruments of funding opportunities. Before summer we are planning a couple of them, and then after summer we will start again with other new opportunities. Each of these webinars will also give the opportunity to participants to take part in follow-up activities, meaning that networks of possible call for proposals to the co-design projects will be set up, so do not miss this opportunity. This is all I wanted to say. I don't know, Valentina, in the meantime you have resolved your issues in the terms of microphone of Elena.
Yes, I just wanted to add that I've just written in the chat section the link to the Skillman website where you can find the list of our future activities. So in order to register for those activities, for these events, you have to click on the link that I sent on the chat, And from there, you just have to register for the event that you're interested in. And also, the event that Fabio was now mentioning is on the list, so you'll be able to register for the event as well. In the meantime, I think our colleague Elena connected again.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Valentina. Sorry for the problem, but I have a problem with my connection, as you understood. Thank you, Giovanni, for your inspiring intervention. We can go on. And yes, as Valentina said in the first phase of the webinar and in her introduction, we can have some interactions during the meeting today. So this is the first step of our interaction related to fixing some main concept we can use as for inputs for the next joint work within the peer learning clubs, as keywords in a sense related to the cooperation we have to build together within the PLCs for joining, also for obtaining the expected results that are stakeholders engagement and realization of a publication within December 2020 to evaluate in the next International Skillman International Forum. So, Valentina, please, if we can see, the slide, you can access this environment, this space for your votation. You can use your PC or your smartphone, and after entering the environment, you can access for voting through the code displayed on your screen, so PLCs.
Also, you have the link in the chat section if you need any help.
Of course, if you would like, if you prefer to use your smartphone, you can select the QR code. Otherwise, through the PC, you can use your browser with the link displayed.
Let's just give a few seconds more for everyone to connect to this link. And then we will start with the first activity with Elena. Okay, Elena, I think we can
we can go on. Yes, we can start with the rotation. So we have to choose one option, of course, and we have some seconds for voting. So first main concept, vision. The curriculum of today is the society of tomorrow. Innovating curricula and co-designing curricula is the basis of the peer learning club, and also as one of the main tools we have for changing the TVET of the future. So please vote. You can choose I fully agree, I partially agree, or I don't agree.
Elena, can you just put the microphone a little bit farther away, because I think we can see and hear too much. Okay, thank you.
Now it's okay? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, better, thank you.
Well, we can see the results on real time when you are voting, so the display is updating itself according to your votations. At the moment, the 62% of us is fully agree with the statement that can inspire our vision within the Skillman platform and specifically within the different PLCs. Take into consideration that because of the COVID emergency, WBL, work-based learning, is facing an interesting reflection, international reflection for redesign and re-engineering, introducing new forms of work-based learning thanks to virtual and remote cooperation. So this PLC could be very interesting. Second topic, potentials. We can include the ethical values in the skill sets for accepting, for meeting the new social challenges we have to take in consideration for the TVET of the future, of course, as Giovanni said before in his intervention. Select always one option of the first displayed. ethical values can inspire the co-design of new curricula. Motivation, third dimension, very strategic. We have the power to influence the TVET policy agenda. Of course, we have to act directly for boosting stakeholders' engagement, multi-stakeholder engagement at any level, from local to international. So up to now, the 57% of us is partially agree with this possibility, with this option. We have the power to influence the TVET policy agenda, but this is one of the main objectives of the peer learning clubs, as said. So we will have the power and concrete tools and results through the policy paper and our joint intervention strategy. I will try to explain in the next steps. We can pass to the other topic. Valentina, up to you.
Sure.
So, okay. Yes. So after votation, just a small introduction regarding the joint work rules, the collaboration rules, the collaboration ways and common tools for the development of the work we are asked to realize until December 2020. The peer learning clubs are based on a peer learning, mutual learning and participative approach as cross-cutting methodology and assumption. Our work will develop into 4 phases. The first phase will be identification and prioritization of the problems, the main problems, challenges, and opportunities, of course, we have to face for innovating the curricula with a special focus on the topic of this third peer learning club, that is work-based learning and related standards. So after this first phase that will start within and by the new appointments will be fixed and planned in the next days, we will have to pass to the second phase, that is plan strategies. You know, as collaborative session, as collaborative template, peer learning clubs have to boost cooperate to express our real mutual learning, and we have to produce, to design joint strategies for involvement of the stakeholders from local to international level, as I said before. If you have a look at the slide, so we can recognize some, no, the slide before, Valentina, sorry. Thank you. So we have within the Skillman platform, we can recognize some continuous and cross-cutting activities as dissemination that can be useful for increased awareness and boost involvement at any level, but at the same time is one of the continuous activities that the platform realizes every day, we can say. Then another cross-cutting activities is information and training activities for operators, for professionals, experts, and also stakeholders and policymakers, of course. But the peer learning clubs, where we are involving in, are specific tools for design common strategies and take the action. So to pass the third phase of the participative approach of our joint work. So let me explain that at the end of the second phase, we will gain a first concrete result of our work that will be embedded in the first step of the publication. Each peer learning club will realize as intellectual output at the end of the activity a publication, as Valentina said before, and the first draft of the publication and related summary policy paper has to be realized at the end, produced at the end of the second phase, so at the phase plan strategies. Having this tool, this common tool produced and concrete, we can act in our context to take action, to concretely involve stakeholders, as private and public, all relevant stakeholders that can influence the change of policies for the Tibet of the future. We will share actions, of course, for the involvement of the relevant stakeholders, and this will be a crucial part, a strategic part of the next meetings we will have together. So the first and final phase will be evaluate together. Within the first phase, we'll obtain the complete final publication and policy paper. We will discuss and evaluate together these results in December during the annual Skillman International Forum, as said in the introduction of this meeting. And in this way, we will be ready for a massive campaign for stakeholders' engagement and involvement at any level, and a long-lasting action of this intervention. Next slide, please. Okay, so these 4 phases, remember them, will be very important because they express the participatory learning and participatory approach we meet during our next phases, next joint work. Next step, well, okay, so after some rules and some approaches, common approaches, we have to share together the working tools. So we choose Basecamp as working environment. Basecamp is very easy, very user-friendly, so even if you are new for this common working space, you can try to access and subscribe using the link displayed on our screen at the moment. We have a possible subscription and a possible workspace for each PLC. So you have to choose, first of all, the third one. You can access in every moment, realize the subscription procedure, very easy as well. And you can try also to have some more practice with the inner working space. In the next slide, we can have a look, an overview of the common working space, as I said. So Basecamp is actually structured in different rooms. The first room, PLC to-dos, will be useful for having an overview of all the tasks we have to implement in order to reach within the defined timeline the expected results. So most of all, the publication in the 2 phases explained before, up to the policy paper, useful for as a sort of soft recommendation for involvement of stakeholders. Then we have the schedule, that is a calendar of the planned activities we share step by step from a meeting to another until the end of our cooperative activity. Then we have another room that is called PLC peer exchanges. It's a chat, actually. You can use it, we can use it for any kind of exchange during the discussion and the common reflection within the future of Tibet and the evolution, re-engineering of work-based learning and related standards according to the focus of our PLC itself. And then we have, of course, probably the most important, the core room of the environment, that is PLC review or publication. If you have a look at this room, you can recognize the phases, the work phases, the implementation phases we saw before as approach of the peer learning labs themselves. And these phases are at the same time the chapters we develop together for obtaining the final publication review of the peer learning lab and the policy paper. Okay, so this is the room where we are asked to cooperate, to write, to valorize our contributions for the final common goal. The final room is related to docs and files and is a repository. We can exchange here every source, every document, every input that we can consider useful for the success of our collaboration. In this slide, you can see a focus on the PLC review, so we can share the cover of one of the publications. We'll obtain one publication for each peer learning lab, so 4 publications in total, and each publication will be tied up to the focus of the peer learning labs and have different colors and different display, we can say. Then we can have now an overview of the structure and the focuses of the different peer learning labs. The first peer learning labs, every update information you can be accessible by the Skillman website in every moment in order to stay updated at any stage, besides, of course, of the shared common workspace and base camp, as I tried to show you. Then we can proceed. Valentina, thank you. Yeah, this is the overview, as I said, of the 4 publications, where the summary policy paper in each one we will evaluate together in December within the Skillman International Conference at the end of the year. One publication for each PLC with different color and different contribution according to the discussion and the reflection we will realize with the support of each coordinator during the next month, starting from tomorrow, of course. Now it's the time for the second interaction of our first meeting, so you can maintain the environment, the link and the QR code for accessing the gaming space. You can enter the access code before, and now we have some questions, very important for us in order to have a feedback from you, and also commitment for the next steps of the joint work.
Okay, as before, let's give a few seconds for the attendees to connect to the platform, and then we will start with the second part of the quiz. You can find the link also in the chat section. I just sent it out. Okay, Elena, I think we can start.
Yeah, we can start, of course. It's a quiz, as you said. So, different type of interactions today. So, first question. How many phases are there in the joint work of each PLCs as cross-cutting methodology? 1, 2, or 4? We have some seconds for selecting one option, of course. And we can vote. We will see the results of our votation in real time. So 4, yeah, perfect, yeah. In 2 steps, as I said before, so at the end of the second phase of the joint work, we will gain the first draft of the publication, of the review, and then within the 4th phase, the final version. Second question, what are the main objectives of the PLCs? Fundraising, self-learning, dissemination, peer learning, and policy making. You can choose one option, of course, even if some of them are anyway interesting for the answer. 8 seconds from now for finishing the votation, sorry. Okay, so peer learning and policy making, of course. We have an equal 54%, but also cross-cutting dissemination and also self-learning. Why not? Because we spoke about peer learning as mutual learning, mutual improvement. So collaboration is the basis for also for self-learning and upskilling of everybody, every one of us. We can go on, Valentina, please. How many publications of the PLC will be made in total? 1, 2, 3, or 4? We have seen an overview in one of the previous slides. They will have different colors and different remarks tied up to the focus of the different PLC. So 4, exactly, 83% selected 4, and it's absolutely correct. Next question, who are the ambassadors of the P4 PLCs? Also, this question is very important. All PLCs participants, members of the EU Parliament, UNESCO members, and students or trainees thinking about that providers that can be participants of the PLCs themselves. So select an option, please. Yeah, perfect. All PLCs participants are the ambassadors. Yes, we are the ambassadors of our discussion, of our reflection, and we will decide together a joint strategy of intervention, common tools, common measures, and the policy paper will represent one of our common tools for take actions and boost the stakeholders' engagement at local level, from local to international. Which is a technology implemented to facilitate the PLC collaboration, Google Groups, Basecamp, Microsoft Teams, or Zoom. We saw before some rooms of a shared working environment. Try to subscribe and to enter in the environment for increase your confidence in using it. So Basecamp, perfect, correct. Who will write the 4 PLC official reviews or publications with related policy papers? Experts from ASA, EU Commission, experts from ITFU Commission, private company experts, PLCs, participants. You can vote. Thank you very much. So we can have a look in real time to your preferences. Yes, correct. We are the ambassadors and we are the authors of the PLC, the 4 PLC reviews. Okay, so we have to be committed in cooperation, the next steps, as well as take actions for stakeholders' involvement. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Elena. Thank you for leading this activity. Probably the time has come now to show to everybody who is the winner of the quiz today out of our attendees, out of those who participated. So let's see that together. Mr. Bikas Harry Bickers is the champion of today. He just sent a message in the chat section earlier on saying that he had to leave. But congratulations to Mr. Harry Bickers, who is the first in the rankings. Okay, let's move on. To let's move on to our word cloud.
Mm-hmm. Yes, this is a word cloud that is complete, fulfilled with the keywords that, according to you and the participants of the different PLC, can support the next steps of the joint work, taking into account some of the main concepts of our collaboration, that are empowerment and social equity dimensions.
Yeah, sorry, Elena, the system word was blocked. So this is
right. Yes. So related to the focus of our PLC, we have to think about keywords related to quality assurance and curricular dimension. What are, in keywords, the main challenges and opportunities for in-company curricular implementation? How can the quality of learning outcome be assessed and assured at the workplace? You can vote, you can select your keywords. You can, of course, select not only one word, but more than one word. In case you agree with selections and keywords selected by other participants, you can anyway use the same word, so we can see in real time your preferences with bigger words. So competencies, resources, same importance up to now.
Yes, we still give some more time to vote.
Yes, of course.
Please write the word or words. You can also vote for more than one option, as many as they come to your mind right now related to this aspect.
Speed of change is a new entry. Remember that these keywords will represent the input for the next steps, so the next meeting related to the first working phase, prioritization, definition of the priorities of the new challenges and the urgencies related to work-based learning and standards. By doing model simulation, also interesting productivity constraints, lack of resources, productivity constraints as before, competencies as and standards, lack of resources. We can wait some seconds more. Valentina, if you agree.
Sure. Okay, resources now has gained more relevance. It was selected by more than one person. So we can already start to prioritize this concept in comparison with the other options.
Yes, and during next steps we can deep the discussion and the reflection about different kinds of resources. Speed of change is growing up. The second choice.
This exercise is very good actually, because it's like making a painting, you know, like you can see on real time how the picture is being built. Yes, I think we have more or less all the options for now.
Yes.
I think it's already a good starting. And still they're growing, so that's...
Trainers on competencies. Yeah, this is important. We have the first PLC is focused on this topic, importance of train the trainers for facing the rapid evolution at global level. But yeah, anyway, if you agree, after 2 seconds we can go on, considering it as a starting point for next commitment.
Okay, Elena.
Okay, thank you very much for your intervention, your suggestions. We will use again this word cloud. Now, Valentina, the stage is yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Elena, for these interactive activities. I think you might take out the message that these activities of the peer learning clubs are actively interactive, because the real power of working together is to have the contribution from all the participants. So today the attendees actually participated with some small tasks for now, but I think it's already a good start to understand the key points, the key concepts of this peer learning club in particular. Now I see that Julian Ng, the president of IVETA, is connected with all of us, so I would like to give him some minutes to say something about this peer learning club and his views on this group, if he's connected and he can see me. Julian, are you online? As before, I cannot switch on your microphone. Probably you will have to do it yourself. Okay, I see he cannot do it right now. Well, it's not a big problem actually. We have one message in the chat section. Let's see. Still, it's an issue with the microphone. Let me see if I can take action on this. Giovanni, do you have the control over the microphone of Julian? Because I don't have it.
I'm trying. We can try to unmute all the speakers and to see if we also unmute him. I try. So I see. Okay, now I can.
Actually, I still cannot switch his microphone on.
No, I suppose is Julian himself that has disactivated the microphone. We cannot activate. Okay, don't worry, we can go on, and in case Julian will take on the microphone, so we can wait. We can open to him.
Okay.
Did you hear me?
Okay. Yes, I think in delay, but I heard you. Yes, I think in delay, but I heard you. Yes.
Okay.
I hear my voice in the bedroom.
I hear my voice in the bedroom.
So maybe you can. Okay, now it's okay. I don't hear my voice in echo. So as Giovanni said, if Julian, if you manage to switch on your microphone again, we'll be glad to have your comments on this. Otherwise, I think I will go on. And actually, we have come to the ending of this peer learning club. So I think I would just give my closing recommendation and the instructions to move on to the next steps for everyone. This is today. We only are at the beginning of our joint work. It was just the first introductory meeting that we are having, and we hope it doesn't end here. So in order to do that, we are planning to give out to all of you, to all the attendees, the invitation links to the Basecamp platform, which is going to be, as Elena and Giovanni already mentioned, our main working platform for the next activities. So we hope we can move from this meeting, we can move on to actually concretely start to do some work together. That will happen on the Basecamp platform. So soon after this meeting, you will be notified about the instructions and the next steps on how to first join the Basecamp platform, and then contribute with ideas and with your insights on beginning to start the writing of this review. I hope everybody understood the main features of this Basecamp platform today, as Elena has brilliantly explained. But if you need any help with any technical issues, please don't hesitate to contact us. We will coordinate all the work activities, of course, and we will also plan some future meetings with the subgroups, subgroups through our Doodle platform. So we will ask you what is your best indicative time to meet for the next events. And as you see in the chat section, Julian NG has just shared a link. This is the feedback survey. So we would appreciate your feedback on today's session. For us, is a very important and useful tool to improve our technical tools and our management skills. So if you could just take a few minutes of your time to fill the survey that you find in the link and the chat section, we will be very glad to have your contribution on that as well. So yes, for me, I think that's it. If anyone has to or wants to ask something, I will be glad to answer your questions or anything. I see that Julian now has his microphone activated.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but somebody just unmuted me, so it works. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for participating in this wonderful event. As has been mentioned, I am the Vice President for the International Vocational Education and Training Association, IVETA, for the region of Europe. And we are proud to be a member, or I suppose a partner in this big project. And I think it is a very, very important aspect about work-based learning and work-based training, because some of the keywords that you all have highlighted are very real issues and challenges that we have to try and overcome if we want to get TVET moving really well, particularly in our countries. So we look forward to working with you and getting your feedback as we go along. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Julian, for your words. Again, we would like to have your full participation on the next steps. I thank you very much, all of you, for joining this webinar today. I hope to get in touch with you soon, and thank you very much for all the contributions we had from our colleagues.